Namaskar. Welcome once again to all our viewers and subscribers to our 8th episode of Talks on Life. The name of this episode is Freedom from Fear. A query has come from Partha Sarathi, and his question is, Maharaj, he has quoted from some source, Moksha is the purpose of life, and being free from all bondage is moksha. Why is there fear? Is it not a bondage? Please clear. So, Parthasarathi, of course, fear is a bondage, but fear comes because of bondage. But we will come to that later. First, let us talk about moksha. What is moksha? It is a word that is used very frequently in the Upanishads, and Buddha had said almost the same thing when he said nirvan, which is also a Sanskrit word. In English, we may roughly translate that to say salvation, or let's say emancipation, or we can use the word spiritual liberation. In the common sense, in general terms, in India, when we talk about moksha, people usually assume that human beings are trapped in a karmic cycle. Whatever we do, we pay the consequences, we have more desires, and we have to come back again in a new body, a new life, death, life, death. This cycle continues endlessly. Moksha is, in general parlance, the freedom from that cycle, that you reside above this cycle and you are somewhere beyond. But there is a contradiction. Then it becomes a kind of a personal liberation while the rest of the world is still in bondage. So when somebody attains a personal liberation, what happens to that somebody? So there is a kind of an identity there, isn't it? Because according to the Bharatiya concept, there is one Paramatman, or existence is Paramatman. Let us not go into the nitty-gritties of 1, 2, 0 and all that. There is only existence, Paramatman, who manifests himself, a pure consciousness, manifests itself through this universe, life forms, through matter, through energy, through everything that we see, through everything that is dynamic, that is changeable. So, there cannot be a one person who becomes liberated while the others are still in bondage, and we can call that moksha. We can't do that. So, there must be a sense of identity if when we are talking about a personal moksha. Maximum we can say mukti for that. That's a different word. That mukti can be personal. So, in existential terms, moksha is total freedom, whether you have a body or not. It is total freedom, whether you have to be born again or not. There is no condition for this freedom. If I have a reaction to being born again, then I am not in a state of moksha. Then I am still not liberated because I am resisting the karmic cycle or whatever I am scared of. People who say moksha, I have attained moksha, I will not be born again. If that he considers to be an achievement, then being born again seems to be a fact that scares him, that upsets him. So that cannot be moksha. So let's say what the Upanishads say, nirvasana, that means a state of pure desirelessness. That is the goal of our spiritual journey. Now we come to the second word. The important word is fear. Why is there fear? In a nutshell, there is fear of losing. For example, a little child has got a new toy. He has got let's say, a teddy bear, or he has a new device. And he is very protective about it. He is very possessive about it. He keeps it to himself. He is scared that his friends in the neighborhood might take it away from him. When somebody even asks to play with it for 5 minutes, he is saying, no, please don't, this is mine. He wants to protect it because he is afraid of losing it because of his sense of possession. That this particular device, this particular toy belongs to me. The problem is not with the toy. The toy will get lost one day, or it will be damaged, or it will be broken. The problem is this fear of losing the toy. Why? Because he thinks it is mine. Same thing. For example, there is a student who appears for an examination and he comes first and everybody is happy. He is happy, his family is happy, his friends are happy. And then what starts to happen is he becomes nervous. He starts getting this fear inside him. He's afraid of what? Of holding on to that position in the next examination. Now he cannot afford to come second or third. Now he has to keep it up. That is not only what he expects from himself, but it is the others who also expect from him. So he has to constantly be under pressure to perform even better because there is this expectation of the standards that he has set for himself. Because now he is becoming possessive about that position in class, the position number 1. In the same way, in a relationship between lovers, they have just fallen in love or they are just having an affair, it's new, and both of them are, while they are excited, euphoric, longing for each other, at the same time they are scared of losing this relationship, losing the loved one, maybe to someone else, or maybe due to some misunderstanding, or maybe due to some pressure from family. So there is always this aspect of losing. You get a job and you are constantly under pressure. You are threatened that any moment you may lose the job. You get a salary, you make some savings, you put that in the bank. The moment you do that, at the back of your mind, you are scared that the bank may collapse one day and the money will disappear, or some hacker will break through into your account and the money will be gone. So all these fears are coming to you because of your concept of mine. I and mine. This is mine. Come to more basic fears. You are in good health and you see somebody suddenly falling ill and almost dying, or an old man struggling with death, and you know instinctively that the same thing can happen to you any moment. You cannot take life for granted. You know that. So you are scared. So you are constantly going through checkups When there's a slight headache, you're taking pills, you're going to the doctor, you're watching television, all these health programs, you're reading journals about health, because you know you cannot take your good health for granted. So, what are you afraid of? Losing good health. And then, finally, the last frontier of fear is death, losing life. Your fear of losing life. So, naturally, what brings about this bondage, what brings about this freedom? It is our attachment to things. Even the body is a thing in this instance. In our identification with things, it is not a problem that you have a house. Everybody should live in houses. It is a problem, it becomes a problem when you think it is my house. And then the fear comes to you that I may lose this my house. So everything in life is there. For example, that little toy, little child had this little toy of the teddy bear. If the teddy bear belonged to a neighbor, another child next door, he wouldn't have this kind of possessiveness for that particular thing. It may be the same teddy bear. He may like to see the child playing and he may crave for it. He may go to his parents and say, I want something like that for myself. As long as it is there in somebody else's hand, no problem. You don't waste your sleep because of that. You're not scared that my friend will lose his teddy bear. You know, you don't think like that. So the problem is not with the bear. The problem is not with anything in life. The problem is the way we look at things, our attitude to things. You see a beautiful flower just as you walk by a park and you enjoy the flower, but you're not scared of losing it because it is not yours. You are not telling yourself that it is yours. That's why you're enjoying, and you know very well that the flower won't be there tomorrow. It will fall off the tree. It will dry up. You know that very well. But if it had been your flower that somebody had gifted to you, or something that you have grown by yourself, or a plastic flower that you like very much, this sense of possession creates the fear of losing. So that is very important to remember, that moksha, one of the conditions of moksha, is to overcome this fear. And you cannot do that suddenly. You cannot sort of overcome or win or conquer your fear today or tomorrow. The last fear, the fear of mortality, the fear of death, the fear of losing your body. Because whatever we say, that I love my mother, I love my friend, I love my job, I love my money, the most intimate thing that you love is your body, is the life that you have, is the fact that you are here. And being here is represented by the body that you have. You see? But it is very difficult for you to recognize the fact that this body has come to you for a brief period of time. And why has it come to you? So that you can evolve from a lower stage to a higher stage of consciousness. The body is not here for you just to indulge in life mindlessly. The body is here for you to evolve, to grow as a human being from one level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. It is not easy for us to recognize the fact that once the body is there, then one day the body won't be there. It will have sickness, it will decay, it will disintegrate, the body will die, it will be burned in a burning ground, or it will be put in a grave. So it is just a vehicle for you on your road on your journey towards your for your spiritual evolution, so that you can go further ahead. You can make that vertical climb upward in consciousness. So the body or your life is the most intimate relationship that you have. But before that, that's a very spiritual quest that we are talking about. But before that, see what you are afraid of. You see, fear is so predominant in our life. The last 2 years, we are seeing how fear has become the basis, the foundation of industries, of the great economic reset that is going on based on our fear. If we were not scared as a civilization, constantly scared of ill health, constantly scared of death, if we were not scared of these things, then these industrial nonsense would not have happened. So fear and greed are the two things that every industry thrives on. So you see, deal with your fear. But before going to this fear of death, see what else are you afraid of, because every fear is related to this primal fear of losing our life. We want to possess, we want to become immortal somehow. Somehow we want to keep a footprint on life. Even when we procreate, even when we have children, we have this fear of losing ourselves. That's why in our children, we dream or we conceive of an extension of ourselves. That he will continue or she will continue what I have started. And through generations, I will live through my offsprings and their children. I will be surviving through them. So our basic instincts are guided by fear. Even our spiritual quest, even people who sort of renounce everything and seek a life of isolation to dig deep into themselves, to know the truth of life, they are trying to understand and overcome this idea of fear. Why is there death? What happens after death? Do we exist before and after death? Is this only one life? Or is there a great plan, great design? Is everything accidental? Or are things some sort of planned? Or is there some kind of a cosmic will or universal will behind this? All these questions are related to the temporary nature of life that we experience here. In this temporary nature, in this relative experience, we are trying to search for a constant. Is there something that is beyond death? Is there something that is beyond birth? Is there something that is not ravaged by time? So you see, fear apparently is a very negative thing, but it can also be a positive thing. One can be motivated by it to seek the greater questions of life. You know what some soldiers say, who apparently are very brave, who are approaching the enemy with their head held high, with an erect body, courageously. They are not scared. Apparently, they are not scared of facing the bullets and the bombs. But some soldiers say, you are scared in that situation. We as soldiers are also shit scared, they say. it is that fear that gives us the strength to charge. If we did not have the fear, that extra charging energy would not have been there. It is the fear of dying any moment that makes us desperate enough to raise a countercharge against the enemies. So everybody is scared. Everybody has fear. The question is, how are we going to use it? Are we going to collapse under fear, or are we going to construct in the spell of this fear? So, freedom from fear. Everything is related to fear. Freedom from fear is definitely a condition of moksha or liberation. Don't bother about whether moksha means that you will not be born again. No, there is no condition. A true devotee in devotion, maybe a devotee of Krishna or a devotee of Ram or Shiv, a true devotee will never say, I don't want to be born again. A true devotee will always say, I don't mind if I have to be born hundreds and thousands of times, but I do not want to forget you. I do not want you to be away from me. I want to always remember the beauty of your love. That is the prayer or the appeal of a true devotee. So even this search for a kind of a freedom where I will not be born again, even that is a bondage. That is a condition that we are making, or the deal that we are writing down with the universe. So, before we come to this spiritual concept of overcoming the last frontier of fear, try to observe what are the little things that you are afraid of and face them. You will see you are afraid of losing things. Okay? Always imagine yourself in a situation where you have lost all those things. What will happen? You are breathing, still there is the sun, still you have a body, you can sleep, you can read a book, you can smile, you can play, you can jump, a lot of things that you can do. Even if you lose everything, every physical thing that you can dream of. Maybe you lose your house, maybe you lose your family, maybe you lose your job, everything, but still you're alive. Try to imagine yourself in that situation, and suddenly you will see that the fear is disappearing. And then go deeper. People who are extroverted, they are constantly afraid of being alone. I think it is Osho who once said that when you are alone, if you get terribly bored, that means you are in very bad company. Actually, we are afraid of meeting ourselves. We are afraid of our mind, which throws up so many things. We are afraid of what we call these so-called bad thoughts, negative thoughts, perverted thoughts. Face them. Train yourself to stay with yourself without anybody. In the beginning, without anybody. Maybe some music, maybe some books, maybe the television. After that, switch these off one by one. Phone off, television off, books no, music no, only with yourself. See how it feels. In the beginning, it will be uncomfortable for you, almost scary. You will feel like running out of your house and seeing somebody's face and talking to him, or even the dog, the pet that you have at home. You want a company constantly because you see that dependent that makes you feel secured when there is someone else, when there is a second person around you. or a second thing around you to keep you busy, to keep you occupied. Try to do away with that. Try to remember Shiv in Kailash alone. He does not need an alternative. He does not need a second someone to keep him secure, to make him feel good about himself. He's happy with himself. Try to be that. Try to meet yourself, meet your body, meet your mind, meet your memories, meet your desires. Meet them. You don't have to respond to them. Even meet your dreams, ambitions, hopes. Meet them. See what is there inside you. And slowly, after some time, you will see you are enjoying that. You are enjoying being with yourself. It is so refreshing. It is so reviving. You are beginning to connect with a deeper self within you. And then go further. Slowly. Do away with things that are not necessary, that are excess, like past, future. The past is just a bundle of memories. We do not have any control over them. And the future is not in our hands. Let us not assume that we will be here 10 years from today. Let us not even assume that we will be here 10 minutes from now. Yes, we will be here, but let us not take it for granted. Let us assume that this is our last breath. That is what a serious seeker does. That this maybe is the last breath. So let's breathe it fully. Let's do it 100%. Let's do it with all our senses, all our attention, all our concentration, because this life, this moment is very precious. And then you will see that the fear of the future is disappearing. Why are we afraid of death? Because we don't know death. Because we don't know what happens after death. So how do we overcome death? By knowing what is death. How do we know death? In deep meditation, in deep discrimination, in deep devotion. Go deep within yourself and try to know the real essence of life. Deepen your level of concentration and go deep into your consciousness. It is not at all unnatural, even for serious seekers, to be scared when they approach this last frontier. Because when we talk about moksha, what are we talking about? Freedom from ignorance, freedom from darkness, freedom from confusion. So, this death that we are facing in spiritual life is not only the death of a body, it is a death of an identity, which is much deeper. When the physical death happens, the identity is still there. It's just you are changing from one dimension to another, from the physical to the subtle. And then you will go back from the subtle to the physical, which we call the next life. But in spirituality, on the frontier of samadhi, or this transcendental state, what happens is that we are approaching a kind of a no man's land, jumping off a cliff, so to say, where the identity is getting merged into an unlimited space, ever expansive, You can also call it nothing, as Buddhists do. You can also say everything. Whatever, the word is not important. The fact that you are losing yourself. Many people, many seekers get scared because the sense of I is slipping away from them. See? So what is the challenge then? What to do? People just come back from that state. They don't want, many people are even afraid to do meditation. Because the moment they sit, something they don't do, the moment they sit with themselves, the subconscious mind starts to open up and they become scared. So when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, there comes a time when your sense of I, when your existence seems to be slipping away. So what to do? Surrender. Surrender. Acknowledge that there is fear. Nothing to be ashamed of. Do not be ashamed of saying that, look, I'm scared. I'm scared of samadhi. I'm scared to go deep into meditation. Tell that to yourself at least. And also, if possible, if you have guru, tell that to your guru, that I'm scared. Everybody is running, is literally running because they are scared. The busiest people that you see running around for more money, more power, more control, because they are scared of themselves. That's why. Only realized beings who know themselves to be pure consciousness, who know that they are beyond the body, they are not scared of, because there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to lose. They have not gained anything, that they will lose something. So, do not be scared to say that you are scared. And then surrender to the truth or to the reality that has manifested you. Surrender to that. Surrender to the universe. Surrender to your guru. Surrender to your Ishto, whoever you worship. The form. Maybe it is a form of Shiv or Kali or Durga or Krishna or Jesus or whoever. Surrender to that. It is something that we cannot do by ourselves. Overcoming the last frontier, the last identity. Because still there is a duality there. That's why our Param Guru Ramananda Avadut used to say that be in front of the door, wait in front of the door like a dog. What is the door? It is the Agna Chakra, the pituitary. That is the door, the frontier of the ego. And the dog is waiting. That means the seeker is waiting. Identity is waiting for the door to open by itself. And for that embrace, where the two or the duality merges. You see? So, surrender. That is the way. So, in the beginning, for the time being, acknowledge that there is fear at every level, physical level, mental level, intellectual level, spiritual level, at every level, every dimension there is fear. Start meeting your fears one by one. Maybe you have a fear of going to strange places. Just go there. Maybe you have a fear of saying sorry to a friend whom you had once offended. Go and say sorry to him. You see, it will be a wonderful experience, very liberating. Something that you had been scared within yourself, suddenly you are free from that. Many old friendships, they die out because of little misunderstandings. It's just the fear of going and meeting that person and saying, let's forget the little misunderstandings that we have for the sake of old friendship. And then everything would have melted away. Both are waiting for the other. These little things. Maybe you are afraid of being with strangers. Go to a place filled with strangers. See how it feels. Maybe we have gone to a new place and they serve a dish. You have never eaten that. And you're afraid of eating something that you have not eaten before. You're not sure what it is. Meet it, eat it. Just say a little prayer, chant your mantra and eat that food and you will feel liberated. So, start by with these little things. You don't like your job. You hate it. Every moment you want to quit the job, but you can't because you're scared. What will people say? How will I survive? Just quit the job. See what happens. So start by acknowledging the fact that you have fear and then meeting the fear. And then the moment you meet, it goes. You don't have to fight with it. You just meet with it. You see in Katha Upanishad, Nachiketa's father sends him to Yam, the god of death. And what does Nachiketa do? He goes and meets Yam. He doesn't fight with Yam. He meets Yam. He starts to ask questions, inquiries, not about everlasting life, but about the reality of self, about Paramatman, about what is the truth of life, because that is the only way to overcome Yam. To know truth, you know death. Our Guruji, Swami Paramananda, used to say that the only real death comes at the time of Samadhi, the death of ignorance. The physical death that we see is just a transfer from one dimension of life to another dimension of life. It is not death at all. So, the real death is the death of ignorance. To know. We start by trying to know the truth, and then through our experiences and through our evolution, we become the truth. Moving, dynamic representation of truth. Then we get somebody like a Buddha or a Vivekananda or a Jesus. So, that is my response to your question. If you have any further questions, you can ask me again in the comment section. And the viewers, if you like this video, then you can share it with others. People who do not understand Bengali, we have lots of discourses in Bengali, but very few in English. But when people ask in English, then it becomes easier for us to respond in English. So share it with people who are not Bengali speaking and who may be interested in these topics. Thank you and namaskar. Till next time.